I'm gonna come back to this picture later on and try to smoothen the back using the same method. And I'm glad that Will posted this picture, because otherwise you were going to be looking at my picture, my face picture, passport picture, and try to do a retouch here. Okay, so what did you do? Did you do anything to this picture? Did you have to do a lot of retouch?
Not a lot, no. But the one question I had was the catch lights.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, but I mean, I then I know that it's more about like
cookies.
so the placement of light rather than so. But if it ever happens where I need, because the catch light is bleeding into the whites of our eyes on the left.
This one.
Yeah, so
Yep.
you can see where the catch light's
Right,
bleeding
right.
into to the white.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know if you like how would you edit that so that the catch light.
You got a lot of good videos from John too.
I did.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
And then
So
I
John's
probably
help,
will
and
do.
also, I think even John, some of the ones, some of the emails he sent me was based. It's the light placement is key as well. So I actually have a 50-inch or 46-inch octabox to camera left, and then 36-inch octabox for fill light. So this is my key light. This is my fill light. I should have taken the key light and raised it above.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
And then
Higher.
And then higher.
Yeah.
And then so what I did was I ordered a boom arm. So now it's going to sit here.
Good.
And then
You're gonna
my
have
fill
more
light.
and
My
more
fill light
tools.
will be the key. Will act as the catch light. So that'll. So I think my fill light was just. That's what was bleeding.
Okay.
My key light was bleeding into her eye.
Yeah.
So I know now about what not to do, what to do in the future. But if this happens,
Then just maybe there are two things that maybe I will address here. There are two things going on. This is so faint that I'm not going to worry about it, but there are two umbrellas going in, and then this is the one that you're going to probably focus on as a catch light, right? And then this one I'm not going to do anything about it. This could be maybe slightly darker, but this one I don't think I need to do anything. And I'm going again and at this point I'll probably
guessing
do.
game as to which one you're going to pick next.
I know. So this one is easier for me, actually. This is much easier than retouching ones. The retouching ones are this week's retouching photo. The restoration photos are. You guys gave me lots of fun things to figure out. So just kind of darkening it basically so that it's not really visible anymore. It's faintly there is fine. And then simply soften the edge. So I click to activate the mask and feather it slowly. I don't think you need a lot of feather.
That looks a little better.
Yeah.
So now what you need to do is to do something about this one.
Right.
Um,
That was my.
I'm sorry, those eye whites are so very eye white. Have they already been worked on?
No.
It came out of the camera that way?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Who's got eye whites that white?
Well, it's blown out. So it's blown out. Yeah. So that light is bleeding into her whites, which is causing it to be blown out. Yeah. I mean, that's not her white. That's the light that's bleeding into the white.
To be fair, I thought it was heavy-handed post-processing.
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't touch her.
It's overexposure.
Yeah.
Just
I
so
select.
Well, it's really the placement of that light and where it's bleeding into the eye.
and then I paste it. So basically it's the same idea. We've done it today a lot. And then you can see how I like this method of using whatever available and copy it and then paste it. And then I'll start to reposition that point. Command T will bring in the transform, and I'll just and then bring it that one. What? And then basically from here, once it is positions, mask it to bring back the eye. But in this method, one problem is that you are not going to have the same shape catch light. It will become slightly smaller, which I don't know if it's gonna how it's gonna look. But basically, so right now I'm getting rid of the catch light here. In here, the layer 1, that is the cat. And then I will create the mask. Just simply click onto the mask icon, and now it has a mask, but it's all white. I'll grab the brush tool with the black, select it, and I'm gonna go really close. Where did the catch light go? Come back.
Do you want the catch light?
Yeah.
Couldn't you just use the opacity?
Yes, you can do anything, but I like this way. I like brushing it. Just kind of precise and.
You're brushing it with just.
Uh-oh, I don't have enough part in the bottom. Seems like what is going on? Ah, okay. So something is missing here. Let me just expand a little bit. So it's not bleeding, it's just there. And hopefully that isn't really looking weird. And then on the top, I'm gonna make one more layer, and then I'll call it eye or pupil or something about eye. And at that point, I'll grab the clone stamp tool, not that large, and then clone, create. I mean, then you can probably okay.
Yes.
It's pretty bright, huh? I probably do need to grab that and maybe slightly darken it, but it's the same idea. I select it, curves, I'll bring down the highlights this time because this is a highlight.
Are you making it less one?
Yeah, because it was somehow my clone stamping was doing something weird. And then if you like to make the size the same, then you can probably clone it down here too. But I'm not going to go there. Another thing, maybe by looking at this, possibly because, well, maybe it's okay. Because the light's coming from this direction, this eye looks slightly darker than this. That could be natural, but when you start looking at things a long time, everything starts to look weird, right? So you could possibly grab the eye area, and then you can go to curves, and then slightly, I'm gonna grab the mid-tone area, just kind of make it brighter slightly. Not too much, just too much. So it's really subtle. And then the edge again, I'll soften it by feathering. So I will select all of this eye-related ones in the layer. And if you Command and G, then I can put everything in one group. And then I'll call it eye fix. So this one. From here to here. Any questions up to this point? She has really nice skin, by the way. I mean, look at that. Really nice. And then also the lights that is giving nice contour. And so you have the lines in here. The cheekbones are nice and high looking because of the highlights. But I'm going to talk about a little more of the smoothing of the skin. I don't think she needs it, but let's see what happens in here. So when you do a smoothing, this method sometimes, well, not this method, but sometimes when you start to smooth things, then you start to get rid of all the textures as well too, and then that's a big problem. So at this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have two separate informations, one textures and one color or tones. And we're gonna smooth the tone ones, but then the texture one will lay on top of it. So the texture will be always there, even if you smoothen the skin.
This is called frequency separation.
Yeah, you are doing a lot of study, aren't you? But I don't really use that word. It's basically that two different kind of elements that you see in here. So in order to do that, you should do all the retouching. You should do all the retouching so it's ready to be almost done. And the last things that you do is just smoothing the skin and giving a little bit of the texture in there, right? So once you do a fix, just what we did, right? Just like what we did in here for the eye. I would like you to select the picture, select all, Command A, select all the picture. I'm not selecting any specific layers. I'm just selecting all the part of the image. And when you do select all, and if you go to edit, there is a command called copy merged. I will do copy merged and then paste it, edit, and the paste. What I just did is this. I'm gonna bring this one up. In the layers palette, I just created one extra layer. This layer is the combination of all the layers below put into one layer. So if I hide it, nothing happens. If I hide the bottom one, nothing happens. So
The same thing that you would get if you flattened the whole image.
exactly. But I didn't want to flatten it in case that I needed to go back in and do something. So instead of flattening, I did copy merged. I'll do another one again.
If you did something very big in the lower layers, like turn it into black and white, would that show up on this topmost layer that's called layer number 1? Or is
No.
So is layer number 1 static to, or is it dynamic with what's going on underneath?
No, it's not dynamic. Now it is static.
It's a snapshot.
It is the flattened version of what's below. Flattened, and then it's all intact.
Okay.
So it's not dynamic anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I guess what you could have done is grouped it and turned it into a smart object, the lower 2 layers.
Right, but then Smart Object wouldn't let me do any brushing, and then I need to brush it. Smart Object is not the pixel based, so I can't brush it, and then I needed to have the ability to brush. I mean, I do need to brush this areas to soften. So I will select all, and then copy merged, Shift, Command, and C, that is the copy merged command, and then a paste. Then I have a copy merged layer. I purposely made 2 of them because one would be used for smoothing skin, and then the top one is going to be used for texture.
Question before I move on.
Yep.
Is the copy merge the same as the merge paste special? On the same menu, there is a paste special.
Paste special.
After you select and then copy and then.
You can do.
Special. Is it the same?
If you do, I think you do need to do a copy merged.
Right.
Yeah, then you can do.
Paste special.
Yes, you can do that, and then you can specify how it is pasted into the layer. It's basically paste special is based. You can specify how the picture is pasted into a layer, whereas paste is just whatever paste, just it drops into the layer.
No, let's compare with the copy merge because after I select and do copy merge and then.
No, you do need to do a copy merge.
Blank layer and then paste special.
You do need to do copy merged, not just the copy.
No, copy, paste special. After select all and copy merge and then paste special to a blank layer.
Well, but when you paste something, you have to copy it first, though, right? Well, we'll talk about that.
She's saying that.
I select all the layers.
What's so special about paste special?
You can paste it in certain areas, certain ways. But let's come back to this. Is it okay, Chimei? Okay. Because I just wanted to go over here and talk about the smoothing here. So I have 2 layers that is specific to smoothing. I'm gonna go to smoothing skin layer and hide the texture layer. In the smoothing skin layer, I'm gonna go to filter and then smoothness, or I will say blur it. I'm gonna go to Gaussian blur to get rid of all the details, and all we see is the soft kind of blurriness. So if I go over here, this isn't really enough.
But it's also, the eyes are losing their sharpness too.
Yeah, I know. What are you gonna do? That's a big problem, isn't it? Yeah, I know.
So will this smoothing also help with any sort of lines with makeup, like makeup lines?
Makeup lines.
Like so, because if you go to our right cheek, you can you zoom into our right cheek before, you could see a clear line where there was some maybe like some makeup there.
Like here?
Foundation, yeah.
It will
So
do
that
it.
will
It
help
will.
with that?
Yes,
Okay.
that is. Yeah. I was talking to Beth earlier about beauty retouch, and we were saying, well, but we don't know how to do a makeup. And then if you have to know how people put makeup in order to do this beauty retouch, I think. So if you don't know, then go to YouTube video or something and then see how people put makeup, where they put contours and highlights and everything too. That helped actually, big time. It's like, okay, that's where people put the highlights.
Do you have a favorite how to do makeup that we could?
No,
Just thought.
I'm just, I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah. That is a few years ago I started to do a demo on beauty retouch. So here it's blurred, and yes, Laura is worried very much, but we'll see. So this is going to be used for skin tones. So we don't really want to have a lot of textures. You could even go a lot more, or slightly more, but I'm gonna stop here. Now, texture, when I bring back the texture, it's like, oh, nice, and because it's sitting on top of the blurred layer, so yeah, of course, but so this layer, texture layer, has to be blended in special way so that it appears in the picture, but it's not really covering the bottom picture. That is how this is going to happen. So to do so, I'm going to go to Edit from the top menu, Image. And then there is something called Apply Image. So the information from the top layer to the one below layer or any layer will be blended in certain way, applied to certain applied in the image. Like some blending mode will make it look like that too. But so the source image, smoothing skin is the one that is going to be blended in. And you are going to subtract it. So applying 2, and it's so dark. The offset, it's 50% gray is what we are going to do, by the way, today too. If I put 128, that's a middle gray. Do you remember why?
Because it's right in between
White.
black and white.
0 and 225.
Right? So I'm making it middle gray, 50% gray. And the scale is something to do with how edgy it is. And the scale comes from 1 to 2. So 1 is the most like edgy, contoured ones. And then 2 is the softest edge. Now for the portrait purpose, maybe the softer texture is better. If you start to put a lot more textures, then that pores or all those wrinkles are showing up. So that's a scale 1. But if you go to scale 2, it's much softer, the other textures. So for the beauty retouch purpose, scale 2 probably is a good idea. But if you're working on the old photographs where it needs sharper edge, because a lot of film-based photographs that are scanned are slightly soft, don't you notice, right? If you're applying the same technique to smoothen the area, put 1 for that. So if you like to have more sharpness, then scale 1, but otherwise 2.
And more sharpness, but it is smoothing the skin a little bit, you mean? There will still be some smoothing, or when we put scale 1, there will be no smoothing whatsoever?
Well, this is just, I'm talking about the edge detail.
Yeah, because, I mean, I don't, for example, you're talking about the makeup and about making the pores disappear. I am more concerned with keeping the integrity of the picture, not making it different, but making it look better.
I think
Does not mean
2.
to completely
I
different.
think 2 will give enough information and the textures integrated into the picture, so you don't have to worry about it.
Isn't it over? Like too much?
If you do 1,
Yeah.
it could be too much.
Oh, 1 is more. Okay, 1 is more, 2 is less.
I know. It's all the photography goes backwards, right? Remember the aperture and everything? Yeah. So I'm gonna just say okay. All right. And then I have the middle gray picture. So I must be using some blending mode.
Overlay or soft light, whatever.
So somewhere everything on this blending mode, everything on this area darkens. Everything on this layer, this area is separated with line, right? Everything in here lightens. And everything in here, it overlays on top of each other in a different algorithm. And in this way, in this specific purpose, you're going to use something called linear light. At this point, you shouldn't see, because I am blending in this way. Hold on. I shouldn't see that one coming. I was here, right? And then I came here. Let me just go in here. I was gonna say at this point, you shouldn't see the top 2 layers and the bottom 2 layers not seeing any differences, but we do see differences, which is not good. Let me just go back a little bit. Apply image. We did that. That's okay. Is it texture? Yeah, it should be okay. Reserve. Yeah, I am doing okay. All right. Let me just keep going here. Blend it with linear light. So this picture, and let me just go back to this picture and the original. This picture is basically identical. The blending mode is preventing me to show you the different settings. And then once you do this, so you have all the textures intact, right? Everything is there still. Are you okay, Laura?
Yeah, I'm a little confused, but yeah, go ahead.
And then here, I'm gonna go to smoothing skins. At this point, what I do is I brush this area to smoothen certain kind of unevenness, like here too. And then here, we're talking about around here. is the foundation, unevenness possibly, and then around here, and start to give a little bit more of the contour too. When you do a painting, we'll use something called, and that brush is really hidden these days, mixer brush. Mixer brush, you can find it maybe two ways. Sometimes it's hidden underneath that normal brush, but I couldn't find it. If that is the same case for you, then go down to this 3 dotted symbol, and there are a bunch of tools hidden underneath it. And then I'm gonna go to mixer brush tool. In this mixer brush, this is like a water paint brush. You can simply take the color of the picture and smudge it. In order to do that, right now it has gray selected as a paint color. I don't want any paint color. You unclick on this icon, and then this is basically load color. Load the brush after each stroke, uncheck. So it becomes all transparency. Transparency means that it's gonna use the color of the picture. So for example, if I come over to her eye and then brush it, right? So the eye color will be brushed over.
Oh, so it picks up where your
Or
starting
here.
point is, whatever your
Yes,
starting point
yes,
is.
yes.
And you're not command clicking to load the brush.
No.
It just picks up where you start from and then schmoozes it out along.
Exactly. And then the wetness is wetness, and then flow is what you really need to pay attention to. Load means we're not loading any color on top of it or mixing any color on top of it. So these kind of things are not really much of the problem, but wetness is how, if it is wet, then the streak becomes longer. When it's not wet, think about it. When the brush is not really wet, then it not coming out so much. You need a bit of the wetness though, something around in the middle, or well, let's start with like 70s-ish, and then really low flow, and then brush. Yeah, very soft. I think I'm doing too much here. If you start to see that much differences, that's not good. And it was, the grain of the skin on the forehead was sideways, right? So I'm brushing in the sideways, kind of. And then the hairlines, I go in this way too.
So you're
Around
brushing
here,
across the frown,
yeah,
the wrinkle, you mean?
yeah, right. Smoothing along the contours so that it doesn't really have a weird lineage. And then let's see what happened here. What you like to be careful here is if you start to get rid of those shadows, it will look weird.
So what you're doing is blending the colors.
Yeah.
taking out a little bit of that shine on the cheek too, or on like
Yeah.
the shine on her chin and
Mhm.
down. And on the cheeks.
What's that red line on her nose?
Is there a red line?
Yeah, along the base of the nose on the right,
I don't see it.
on her right, not your left. If you come to
Here?
yeah,
Where?
it's right there.
Is there a
I mean, it
line?
looks like war paint.
What?
In here? This one?
Yeah.
I didn't see it until you pointed out. But I still have all the textures, skin textures, you see? I have all the skin textures. I'm just smoothing the base tones. I'm gonna save this one and then I'll go back to Photoshop. Did I save it? Is that? Yeah, edit. So that's the difference here to here. If you see it next to each other.
Left is before and right is after.
Uh-huh. Oh, it doesn't really want to do it. Uh-oh. So smoother. Maybe I did a little too much in here. You can see how I started to lose that nice contour, but that is how you can smoothen it in the layer. Ah, now it's working. Okay. So here to here. Here and here. This is before and this is after. Before and after.
Big difference. This is after you did the linear line?
Yep.
I'm confused by the names that you gave these layers, because the first description was that one had to do with brightness and the other one had to do with texture, but
No, color
color,
and texture.
You can name it as whatever you would like
I
it
could
to be.
name Manny, Mo, and Jack, but
Yeah.
the respective layers are for color and for texture.
For smoothing and and texture.
Yeah.
What's the
You can
difference
say.
between smooth and texture? It seems like they're synonyms. That's where I'm.
So the bottom part of smoothing, but then the texture is laying on top of it. But yeah, you can say color too.
But
I'm
didn't
sorry,
you
I'm
start
just
out,
not clear.
isn't that the same layer? Because you created two copies of the merged edits and background.
But
Uh-huh.
then did different things on them
Yeah.
afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, but in the beginning, you started off with two identical ones and then did different things to each one
Right.
and then blended them again.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll do the same thing to this one and try to smoothen this area. Okay? This is black and white. And then I'll have the copy of the background. I have two copies. I'll smoothen the sky. I'm going to work on this area. And then this one. This one doesn't need texture, by the way, but if you would like to go to other areas like these areas that has wrinkles and stuff like that, then you might want to have a texture layer on top of it too. And then smoothing sky layer. You like to blur it. Gaussian blur. I'm gonna get closer.
I thought we were gonna blur the sky.
Eventually.
Okay.
But I'm gonna hide the top layer.
What does that mean, galaxy?
Good question.
Randomly distributed.
Data points.
Oh, it's random?
So, kind of blur it. Sky doesn't have any texture, so I'm not really looking at the sky to do the texture, the softening. In case that you like to go to other areas later on, I'm gonna start bending to this, looking at the other areas. And the texture, this one, we're gonna go to edit, image. I really like to go to edit, seems like. And then I would like to go to apply image. And then there, I will put it to smooth sky and subtract. Scale 2 was what we did for the portrait picture, but this time I'm gonna put scale 1 to give a little more definition to the edges, because this picture probably needs a little more definition. It helps to have a little bit of the definition. So basically you're doing the edge sharpening at this point too. And then you say okay. And blend it. How do you blend it this time? Linear light. This one just really give a little too much. I'm gonna actually give a little less opacity in here. It's amplifying the noise too. And then I'm gonna go to smooth and sky area, and I'll especially pay attention to this area of the blotchiness. And then go to the the mixer brush. Look at this area and smoothen it. Take it from the other side.
Now, would something like this work for dust particles too?
Yeah, you probably could, but you need to play with the texture layer because texture layer will amplify.
All right, and that could sabotage what you're doing.
Yeah, so you just need to have a little bit more. So here you go. I'm gonna go back. We stirred it from here and soften it. I mean, I probably could go a little bit more too. And a lot of you guys' pictures for the restoration guys, I think can benefit with doing this too, with smoothing the areas, something like this, or these areas. If you extend certain tones, like these are lighter in the edges, then grab the darker area and then start to extend it. Or in this way, even you can lay some colors, like gray colors, on top of it and then make it load instead of using whatever the color that is available. And then I'm gonna mix it lower. So I'm painting now with wet brush. I wonder if I can get rid of. Yeah. So darkening in the way. So smoothing, and then if you start to lay the colors on, then you're basically darkening or lightening certain areas. So here to here. Let's zoom out. And here to here. I probably do need to go a little smoother here. All right. So this can be used for both the beauty retouching and then also smoothing the areas for the retouching purpose too.
Or couldn't it be used for colorizing?
Possibly.
That's what I'm asking, because the copy merge layer basically is a new layer,
Yeah.
flat layer anyway.
Mhm.
So can we use a wet brush to any layer to work on, to improve the photo? So would that be kind of related to your question?
You can do that.
So it's not limited to this particular.
Yeah.
We
You can do
apply
anything.
Wet brush to
Mhm.
do anything.
Okay. Questions? All right.
Can you repeat the texture?
Huh?
The texture layer.
Yes. Texture layer. Can you what? What's the question?
You go to
Can
image.
you
apply
repeat that
image.
layer, how you get there?
Or repeat that layer? Uh-huh. So to have the texture layer, let me just make so that you basically make the layer and texture too. And then on this layer, you blend it by going to, you apply the image by going to image and apply image. And under apply image, choose the layer that is blending into, which is just below it. And then the blending mode for this is subtract when you're applying an image. And change the offset. This, I think the default is 0. So your picture will look like dark picture like this. But you just need to put the offset 128, that's the middle gray. And then scale. Either 1 or 2 or 1.5. 1.5. Anything in between 1 to 2 is applicable.
Is it possible to put a number in there that's 50 or?
It probably will. They wouldn't like me. See, it's like, oh no.
Yeah, it says 1 and 2. Okay, the range is 1 and 2. That is so goofy.
All right, so 2 is the softest, and then 1 is the hardest. Okay. And then say okay, and after you do, then you blend it. You blend it with linear light. It started to become really noisy because I have 2 of them. So for this week, I would like you to try it, and that is your assignment. So if you go to Blackboard, in the exercise section, I put them. So see if this makes sense. I quickly did it, so it may not make sense to you, but I'll try. And then I'm saying opposite things. I realize scale 1 for less texture. That is a lie. Scale 1 is for more texture. So this one, don't take it. I lied. It's opposite. So when I'm writing it, I got confused. But so that is what needs to. I would like you to try applying this technique to your own image, and then bring it to class, and then that's your exercise 3. Okay.
It's a question about something before, so I'm just waiting for you to finish this.
I think I'm done. If you don't have any questions. Okay. You do.
Got one.
Yep.
You were saying that what you use for original when you go back the second time into Photoshop is the edit, copy edit.
Edit open original. So I went back, and this is the edited image in Photoshop. If you like to have the layers intact, so if you like to go back and then edit more layers and don't want to flatten it, then you go right click, edit in, and edit in Adobe Photoshop CC, and you go edit original or edit copy. But if you do here, then you flatten everything and then lose everything. Yeah.
So whenever you do that, it flattens it, or you
Yes.
edit with labor.
Yeah.
Adjustments.
You shouldn't, you don't wanna like
Okay.
edit in Photoshop, edit in Lightroom, and
And
then
then go
edit,
back.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because I do that sometimes. Okay.
Well,
Okay. And just,
it will create another edit version basically.
But you're-
Yeah.
but you
you're
won't be able to
losing-
go back.
Yeah,
Right,
you're
right.
you're losing layers.
Oh,
Okay.
I've been going into Finder and finding the file and dropping it onto Photoshop. So this is easy.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. Well, we have this class in 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, so you have 10 minutes. But we'll have if you have questions, I'll come to you.